because Chris Tucker is an interesting, I have my own like perspective about that because it does seem sometime that he doesn't maybe fully acknowledge the Friday. He shows it love, but he kind of like wants to keep it at a distance.
Well, he's a
What is
Virgo.
your take?
Virgos don't acknowledge stuff like that. They don't apologize and they don't acknowledge. And they move and they're stuck. And I mean, he'll never say, listen, they sent him away. He was still trying to go in there and be a thespian. He was trying to be or not to be in
Right.
the Friday interview. He left out that interview and called me. He came to my apartment for 2.5 hours. And I was like, add another line, add another line. Oh, right?
Right.
When he left out of my apartment, he was Smoky. But when it was time for him to go on tour, he hasn't put a dime in my pocket. He hasn't, I don't know Chris's phone number. I haven't talked to Chris since we left the set.
Wow. Since y'all left the set of Friday, y'all haven't spoken?
I saw him at John Witherspoon's funeral.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a people who are moving in spirit and people who are moving in ego. So it is what it is. And I've said this before, he doesn't owe me anything, but he's not going to acknowledge. There's a string of people and all the big stars. There's a string of people who got them there. There's a string of people, a host of people who drove them to auditions, who let them sleep on their sofa, who put money in their pocket. It's not cool to say, you know what, I slept on this person's sofa for 6 months. I don't think I would have stayed in LA had that person not sacrificed and shared their little bit with me. This person was feeding me part off their plate. But do you think, and I'm not going to name names, but literally the majority of people who made it from other people, but then they look at it like, oh, you just trying to ride me. You just trying to ride but people genuinely love you. Like there's a guy, I don't want to say no names, but he genuinely loved this person and cared for him, and not in a way where you owe me. And when this person got there, like the hurt that this other person had it was so real. And he didn't even feel like, oh, that person owed me. It's just that they had done so much together and they had shared loving moments and no Diddy. Sorry.
You're funny.
But they did. And then now all of a sudden, this person's gone, not even acknowledging them. And this person has never been like, I wish I hadn't helped him. I wish I had. They're always, and the same with me. Like I got such joy out of seeing that young man transform into Smoky. It's for me.
Right.
I've mentioned it in interviews, and I'm not mentioning it. I'm just telling what happened. And I'm not mentioning it to say anybody owes me anything. I'm just saying it was an experience that I had, and it was a wonderful experience because I saw when it went off, and it was phenomenal.
So let's just say or ask, have you in a sense kind of forgiven or let go Chris Tucker somewhat of utilizing you or using you to develop his character that would change his life, his career? Have you let that go, or
he did it? Absolutely. He owes me nothing. He doesn't owe me a phone call. I was just saying, in terms of him letting the Friday thing go. I mean, he let go of the person who literally took their time and what I knew how to develop an actor. I've coached 4 people into big roles. 4 people. I'm not gonna, and I don't want to keep. Nobody owes me nothing.
Yeah.
But I've coached people into roles. And none of them owe me anything. It's the experience itself. Like for me to know, wow, that's a talent that I have.
Well, Angela, let me ask you, because I think hearing that story, um, yeah, you're right to a degree of like, hey, Chris doesn't owe you anything because I mean, he did the work that was his work. I do want to, ask you if you were in Chris's position and the roles were reversed, what would Angela have done, given if Felicia would have taken off and now we're doing a movie around Felicia and the spinoffs, and Chris Tucker was the one that molded that character with you? What would you be doing? What would that relationship for you and Chris Tucker be like?
Good question, John. That's a good one. Who knows? That's my answer. Who knows? Because who knows the obligations that I have if I'm at that because I don't know. Maybe I would have done the same thing. Maybe there was something holding me back from wanting to work with Chris again. Maybe somebody would have said something to me about Chris that, I had to have an allegiance over here no matter what. We as Black folks is like, if my friend don't f- with him, I don't f- with him. I mean,
Yeah, we do.
we do that.
Yeah.
So there's a friend somewhere that maybe I said, "Fuck you, nigga." Ew.
Maybe that was Russell Simmons was his homeboy.
See what I'm saying? So you never know. You cannot hold. If somebody has a grudge against you, somebody wants to blackball you, somebody wants to, hey, do you? But I'm gonna pivot.
All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this teaser. You can watch the full interview right now at hypersclub.com, along with more behind the scenes and additional content.